Welcome to the More Life, Less Drama podcast with mindset expert and master executive coach, Prue, who will teach you how to finish your first goal and then every goal using her simple, proven formula. If you're ready to live more life, have more fun, and reach your potential with less drama, you're in the right place.
Hello, welcome back to More Life, Less Drama. Today we're talking about something super important, yet it might be something that you have completely just not even thought about. So let's get into it. Today we're talking about an accomplishment archive or an accomplishment list or a list of accomplishments, however you'd like to say it. But I'm wondering, do you have something written down that shows you all the things that you have achieved or have loved in your life? This goes beyond just achievements. It's just not the accolades from external staff, diplomas, bachelor degrees, money earned, all that sort of stuff. We are diving deep into what actually fuels you to actually show up for your goals. Because remember, I love helping people achieve their goals. And if you are not doing the things that really light you up, then more than likely you are not going to cross the finishing line of that goal that you are trying out. So let's talk about the accomplishment list and why it is so important. If I was to ask you what were your greatest achievements, I would normally get answers that are very stock standard. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with these answers. That is not the point. But I'm just saying they are the things that people most go to when they think about the things that they've achieved. For example, you might say something like, I'm really proud of my family. I'm really proud of my home. I haven't got anything special. That is the worst thing that I hear people say. It's like nothing special. It's like that McCain's ad. Nothing special. So if you're a person that is just scratching around for ideas of what you have achieved and can't list them or don't know them yourself or aren't willing to even take your brain to that place because you think it's really stepping into your ego and it's about bragging and you don't like to brag about yourself, you just like to keep low key, well, I want you to listen on, because this list could potentially be the most important list that you create for helping you achieve your goals. And look, I'm somebody that loves to talk about the future. Always. Like, I think nothing in your past really defines what you can achieve in your future. Yet, this list is going to give you some great insight and data. I love collecting data about yourself that will allow you to choose the right goals that will give you the future that you do want, opposed to the future that maybe was designed by society for you. So think about things now, like in this very moment, what are your top 3 accomplishments? Just have a think. I don't want to press you into it, but I am. I really want you to use your brain and tap into what you're most proud of in your life. If you've been listening along for a while, you know that I use the feeling of being proud to drive a lot of my own personal goals, and I actually think it's an underutilized feeling. So tap into that right now for yourself. What are you most proud of? It is the thing that has you showing up to do things even when you don't want to do things, because you will feel proud of yourself. This is not an external proud like other people telling you. Remember, we can give validation to ourselves. It's so important to learn. And the proud that I'm after is that internal feeling of pride for yourself. Like, how proud are you of yourself and the things that you have achieved? Like, really tap into that right now. If you're driving, just take a minute. If you're, walking the dog, again, just let your mind wander. Pause this audio, possibly, because I'm not going to stop talking, obviously. So why is it important? I coach a lot of people who seem to be in denial about their own achievements. Like, it's crazy, right? Like, we're living this life for ourselves, yet We refuse to give ourselves a pat on the back or acknowledge our own achievements because we do think it's stepping into this boasting and bragging type of situation, which, we have been taught. But you can do this from a place that is actually not about bragging at all. Another reason why it's important is because people that are overachievers, and really that's who I love to work with, like you are an overachiever if you're listening to this podcast. People who are overachievers often spend a lot of time hyper focusing on the things they haven't achieved, okay? And there is merit in that too, don't get me wrong. Yet, if you spend time in the things that you have achieved, it's going to open up so much information for you to help you achieve the things that you really want. So stay with me. The time that you spend thinking about your failures could be time spent thinking about your achievements instead. Just imagine if you spent as much time thinking about your achievements as you did about your failures. Do you think you'd feel a little bit better? I'm certain you would. I am certain if you spent time in your brain learning how to focus on what you have achieved and giving that airtime as much as you focused on the things that you didn't achieve, I'm sure you would feel better instantly, because the thing that we're chasing in life is a feeling. And so we can have the feeling of achievement right now because I'm sure there is a plethora of things that are on your list that you haven't even acknowledged for a long time. So what happens is when you're hyper focusing on the things that you are not achieving, you spend time beating yourself up and feeling the lack of what you have achieved, and instead of what you have achieved and the abundance that is available to you. So this episode is always going to help because I have an exercise, and we're going to do it at the end, but we're going to teach you how to write your accomplishment list. Like I said, one of the most important lists that you could potentially have ever in your life when it comes to achieving your goals. You see, the simple act of writing down things you have achieved allows your brain to explore the positive things. And, positivity helps when achieving goals and feeling better, if you haven't noticed. If left to its own devices, your brain will use the pathways that are easy and guaranteed to keep you safe and that are most used. And therefore, it may lean into that negative thinking pattern and the negative pathways. It's just done that by design. Our brain wants to keep us safe. Our brain wants to keep us alive. And discomfort is a warning to our brain that we are potentially unsafe. So our brain's like, hey, just go this way. This is the way we've always done it. It feels comfortable and safe here, and I want you to stay alive. So we keep going down that way. Even if it is perceived as a negative pathway, our brain has a positive intent for using that pathway. We always have a positive intent behind everything that we do, even if it seems negative. So basically your brain is saying, remember how badly you felt when you did X, Y, and Z? Let's not do that again because you don't want to feel embarrassed. And look, embarrassment is one of the things that keeps us from showing up to our goals if we think people are going to judge us and we are going to feel embarrassment. Embarrassment is not a nice feeling. You could all agree. So let's have an example here. Maybe you wanted to be a speaker, but your brain offers up a memory of being embarrassed when you did a presentation back when you were like maybe 16 years old in front of the class, and you stumbled and mumbled all over that presentation and you sat down just feeling completely embarrassed by that presentation from your own brain. And possibly you got some feedback too that wasn't so good, or I couldn't hear you and you were mumbling a lot, or whatever the feedback was. And so your brain stored that memory. And it's like, remember this? Please don't do that again because I didn't like the feeling that I felt when you got negative feedback. And so that doesn't feel safe. It feels really dangerous. Just do the things that you've always done, which is possibly be quiet, don't speak up, and definitely don't put yourself in a platform that is going to get you criticism, okay? So that's what our brain does. And I'm just going to share a quick story because this is my story. My story was that I've always thought I was a terrible speaker. And look, I'm not professing to be the best speaker, like there is still so much to learn, but at least I can actually speak out loud now with some confidence. This has never happened to me in my life before. I've never felt confident to speak, and it's because back when I was younger, I did lots of speaking by being forced into it. It wasn't something that I put up my hand and said, yeah, let's do that. That sounds so fun. It was like, oh my God, I've got to do this. I'm forced into it. And I had a moment recently when I watched back on a video of when I was 16 of me speaking at my Year 10 farewell presentation, like the wrap up of Year 10. It was the last year of our school that I went to, and it was Year 10. So it was like a big presentation night, and I did a speech on behalf of my class. And I looked at that video as a 46-year-old woman and was almost like too cringy to actually watch the video, because I had this thought in my brain that it was going to be so bad, because that's the memory I had. Then I watched the video, and guess what? It was actually really great. I thought to myself, holy shit, are you serious? That was me at 16? I spoke really well. Yeah, I sounded a bit nervous. I still spoke clearly and confidently and got my message across. And it was good. So that little thing was just blown out of my brain, because I was like, that wasn't even the truth. Yet my brain, because I felt embarrassed and thought I didn't do a good job, that's what I told myself. Therefore, my entire adult life, I have thought to myself that I'm not a good speaker. I don't do it well. It's not something that I'm really good at, so please don't do it. I don't want to feel embarrassed, and therefore I haven't done it up until the last little while. So even though we've got proof of things, sometimes it can be blown out the water, because the proof that our brain thinks is the truth sometimes is just not. So that is why an accomplishment list is going to help you. It's going to help you unpack some of these old beliefs that you have about yourself, and you can step into the new belief and this new self-concept of you, who you want to be in the future. So me, I want to be somebody that's doing a podcast once a week. So I can't have the belief that I'm a bad speaker anymore. I just have to have the belief that I'm great at speaking. I'm learning how to be a great speaker, and I'm willing to feel all the emotions to get me to that place. That's the difference. Okay, so this is why an accomplishment list is going to help you. It's going to blow out some old beliefs that you had in your brain that was keeping you safe, that aren't actually true. Yes, even from that small little note, this is worth doing. Another reason of the importance of creating this list is that it forces you to go there. It forces you to step into positivity rather than just relying on the by design network that our brain goes to, which is the negativity. And some people are more positive than others. It's totally fine. We can all step into some sort of positive emotion and positive feelings intentionally at any time that we want. So by doing this list, it's actually forcing you to spend time to do that. Highly beneficial for everything. My coach always says life is 50-50. You know, there's 50% negative and 50% positive. But how you live and show up in the negative really affects the positive. So if we can be okay and know we're going to be okay in the negative stuff, because it's just going to happen, like you're never going to get away from that, the positive stuff is also going to happen, and you're going to be able to step into that more and actually spend time in the positivity of what is going on in your life. So this list creating is actually going to step you or shove you, however you like to think of it, into some positivity. It's like, we're going to create a list of all the amazing things that you have done and how you have felt great. Let's write the list so you can start feeling great. Okay? That's what we're doing it for. But the ultimate reason why creating this list is important is because it will give you an understanding about what drives you. Inside the Finishers Club, I help people do this at the very beginning of the journey. I make them write the list and then categorize the list. It's such an important thing to do because it will show you your values. And why are values important? Well, values are the underlying feelings that drive and motivate you to show up in your life. And if something is against your values, it really pushes up against your values, chances are you're not going to show up. And so if you are creating goals and they are completely outside your values, there is no way that you are going to do the hard work that is required of achieving goals to get to the finish line. There is not a chance in hell that you're going to do that if it goes against your values. Some values are innate. They just are in us and you can't really change them. But there are some that can be manipulated and you can step into and you can practice being in certain values. But it's really important to know your values, and creating this list is going to give you an insight into what your values are. So once you create your list, you're going to look back on this and get a really super clear understanding about what drives you. And it's different for everybody. One thing that I notice when people are setting goals and talking about goals is they underplay their own goals. They say to me things like, oh, I feel like I'm just like jumping on the trend of this goal or that goal. And it's so funny because it's literally a thought error that people have. A thought error is something that they think it's true, but really it's just something that they're telling themselves maybe to keep them safe. So when people say this to me, I always remind them, you know what? Your goal is unique. Nobody else in the world has a goal that is exactly as yours. And when people underplay their goals saying, oh, maybe it's just because, I saw it on social media or everybody seems to want this goal, I'm like, no, not many people want that goal at all. There's so many people that want different goals. Yeah, they might sound similar, but really when you get and dig into your goals and understand what goals are right for you, every goal is unique. So this list is going to help you understand yourself, so you're not going to underplay your goals anymore. I want people to run out and chase their goals because it's for them. Every goal that people create from this space of knowing exactly who they are and what they want is right for them. And like I said, I want people to hunt them down and chase them until they're completed, because if that goal is knocking on your door and always showing up in your dreams, in your life, in your thoughts, it is meant for you. And I don't want people to underplay their own goals because they think that there's just another goal that somebody else wants, and really, is it really mine? So I really want you to write this list so you can understand yourself and what drives you and motivates you to achieve these things in your life. And do you know what else this list shows you? It will show you what is not on the list. So many people have materialistic goals, and then there's other people that don't. And so if you start writing this list and you have a lot of materialistic things coming on there, you must be a person that is motivated by things. And that's totally okay. There is nothing wrong with that. But the person that is writing down goals that are for things, and when they write the list, nothing on that list has to do with materialistic goals, then maybe you are showing up with the wrong motivation, for the wrong motivation to achieve a goal. So say if you want to buy a Lamborghini, and you're like, I want a Lamborghini, and you're putting it on your vision board and you're writing your goals to get a Lamborghini, but really what drives you is spending time with and connecting with your family and the people that you love and doing activities, then getting that Lamborghini is mostly never going to happen because it doesn't actually mean anything to you. So this list is going to highlight, most importantly, what's not on there. So if you are chasing goals that once you write this list, you're like, oh my God, like I don't even like materialistic things. I don't want a big house. I don't want to travel. There's so many things that you might not want, and your list is going to show you what those things are just because they are absent from that list. Okay, so it's going to be great insight to what you write down, but it's also going to have great insight from what you don't write down. So how can this list help you set future goals? Well, it's going to allow you to figure out what motivates you. It's going to give you clarity about yourself and what you want to feel when you achieve goals. I keep going for the feeling of proud of myself that really pushes, me to achieve my goals. But there is a plethora of emotions that you might want to feel when achieving goals. Achievement, happiness, joy, fulfillment, anything. There is a list of emotions that you might want to feel when achieving goals, and the list is going to help you figure that out. So when you've written your list, it is then important to refer back to it every time you are thinking about your goals into the future. Every time you're setting a goal or planning to set a goal, thinking about New Year's resolutions, it's a really great list to go back and refer to. So you can be like, that's right, I'm setting a 10K run goal on my list again this year. Like, it might be something that you've habitually done over the last 5 years, is set this 10K goal and you've never achieved it. So you're like, I'm going to put it on the list again for this New Year's resolution. But then when it comes to it, you look at your list of accomplishments and you're like, nothing on there shows me that I love showing up for personal challenges like that, pushing myself beyond the comfort when it comes to exercise and movement. So maybe it's going to help you choose goals that are more aligned to you, because I want you to show up to goals that are aligned to you and your life as it is now. It's not particularly how it was back then, but how you are now. And this list is just going to help give you more clarity around that. Easy. That's the whole idea of the list. So let me give you some practical tips about creating and using the list. So first of all, creating it. This is really simple. It might be simple for me, but maybe it's not simple for you. But you just need to schedule out some time to sit down with you in your own mind with a list that can be referred back to. So I know I have mine on my iPad, so I use an app called Notability, so I've got all my folders and things saved in there. And so it is something that I want to continue adding to. So don't create the list and think that it's just done. I want you to, every 6 months, add new things to it from the 6 months that you've just completed and what you've actually achieved in those 6 months. Or maybe it's a yearly thing that you do. So set some time and start the list. Number the list. I want you to start with number 1. Doesn't have to be in any particular order though. I just want you to write things down as your brain offers them up to you. So think about things that you have achieved, like always a great place to start, but how you have felt in certain moments, things that you have loved and have great memories of. Maybe they're just for you. Maybe it's got nothing to do, nobody else would even know that you would consider this an accomplishment or a highlight. Maybe other people don't even know that this would be a highlight of your life. So that's the second point. It's not just accomplishments, it's also highlights. Think of those moments where you have felt absolute joy, absolute happiness, peace, love, excitement, all those things. I want you to write them down. So no particular order, just write them all down as they come up from your brain. And maybe you need to do 10 minutes, walk away, let your mind stew in things for a few minutes and then come back to it. Maybe you do this over a week. I know when I created my list, I started and I got, maybe 20 or so. But I came back and I was inspired. My brain had offered me up some more ideas. So I sat down and did more of them. So I think I've got to the point where it's coming up to maybe 90 or 100 things that I have listed on my accomplishment list to keep referring back to. And it's such a great tool. I cannot explain to you enough how powerful this tool is, and I'd really love you to jump on board, do your own accomplishment list, and I would love you to send me an email and say, hey Prue, this is my top thing that came out when I was writing my list as a highlight. What was your life's highlight? That one thing that you'd really love to share with me. I would love for you to jump into my emails and tell me what your life highlight is. As an example, I am a hobbyist photographer. Love photography, and I don't pick up my camera that often, but I get inspired sometimes. And before I left Broken Hill, I was determined to find a perfect shot of a wedge-tail eagle. So I was really going out, spending a lot of time out in the bush, by roads, where all the roadkill is. Wedge-tail eagles are always by roadkill. Pretty gross, I know, but it's just how it is in the bush. So yeah, I went out and I stalked a wedge-tailed eagle and I found one. I found this beautiful specimen of a wedge-tailed eagle, young male, and he was just happy to hang around. And so I spent 2 hours like laying in the grass with this guy while he just happily bounced off the road and onto the road eating a squashed kangaroo. I just spent that 2 hours just in absolute joy, and I just felt so at peace when I was out there. Like, it was just pure focus and enjoyment watching this animal just do his thing. And I got some incredible photos too. So that's an example of something that can be on your life highlights, accomplishment list. And that is one of my definite life highlights for things like that. So that is what we would call an experience for me. Okay, that's it. Have a great day and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of More Life, Less Drama. If you want to learn more about Prue's work, visit head-coach.com.au. Be sure to subscribe and follow the show so you don't miss an episode. Have a great week.